What's up, everybody? So I am back with this project. If you missed the first video, well, stop what you're doing and look down below and click that link and watch it first so it all makes sense. So I will say before I go any further into this, there is going to be a part 3. Part 3 is going to cover the dyno tune session and get a little bit into that. And I am going to go actually grab, I have his story that I want to talk about, and I will talk about it early on. You know, if you're not interested, you want to skip through it, feel free to, but I'll be right back. Hold on one second. So I'm in the showroom. I got a nice little area to put my phone, and I get to sit down and talk. So I want to briefly talk about this story. So when this customer originally came in, I believe he saw, well, he mentions this. So he saw another video that we did on a father and son. We turboed their RSX, which I can link that down below so you guys can watch that too if you haven't seen it. Now, the biggest thing that I always try to tell people is when you come here, you're like family. And for somebody to share this kind of story with us, it's awesome. But, you know, I believe he feels like he's family too, which is what I want people to ultimately feel when you come here. You know, the car community, if you're not part of a car community or you're not passionate about this, it's hard to explain to people, you know, the relations that you can have with a complete stranger. You know, that's why car shows are awesome to go to and attend. And, you know, it's just really, it's hard to describe. I'm just going to leave it at that. But if you're in this community, then you know exactly what I'm talking about. And we do plan on actually having some meets here come spring of 2022. So I'll just put that out there, and hopefully you guys can all attend. So his background story was one of his coworkers, he worked in a jail, just got the car finished, and he wanted to take it out. And he didn't have too many modifications done to it. You know, looking over here, I have have the whole story in front of me. It looks like the guy's engine blew at one point. They boarded over, they rebuilt it for whatever reason, and he just wanted to take the car out, you know, kind of wanted to show off. And he said at one point they were driving and they noticed that they saw a car that was hesitating to pull out. And when they passed the car, they passed the light. It was a slight turn, and then stopped, and then they got back into traffic, and the car decided to turn left and dart across 2 lanes of traffic and slammed into his passenger side of his car. So not only did that occur, they spun out and they ended up going off the side of the road where his coworker he was the driver. He had an airbag that deployed. He did not have, the customer that I'm talking about, his car, he did not have an airbag. He noticed, he looked down, or before that, he started seeing smoke fill the cabin quickly, and then he looked down and he noticed his seatbelt was smoldering. So at that point, he said he rolled out of the car into the grass, and just by the luck of it, there was an ambulance that was behind him that witnessed the accident. They took him on a stretcher, they took him to the hospital, and he had some contusions on his ribs and sternum. I believe that was mentioned in here. And the biggest thing about this, and it's not to share his crash or whatever like that, he suffers from PTSD now. So driving for him has never been the same. So originally when this car came in here, there was no talks about a turbo. Because when you have PTSD and you're in fear of driving again, and you know, if every car that looks like they might pull out in front of you is gonna, you know, scare you to death, you don't want to drive. You lose that passion, unfortunately, with cars. So it was good to see him not only get back into it when we did the engine swap for him, but now it's also to see that he feels confident that he can get back in there and he's going to feel safe and comfortable. Now, you know, some of these videos I do, the one video that is linked down below, there's a driving clip with the father and son in the car to see how their first reactions are. And I'm not going to do anything like this. With him, I'm going to offer to drive it with him. Number one, right now we're in the dead of winter time, so we're dealing with the cold weather. So this car, we're not building it for, you know, a crazy amount of power. We want him to be able to enjoy it and get back in it. So we're not going to set any records with this. That's not the goal, but it's for him to get back in and enjoy it and enjoy back being in the car community. He's got a good far drive, but hopefully one of our meets coming up here that we plan on doing, he can attend. But it's just one of those things that, you know, I'm sharing his story because I know he watches these videos. These videos will be saved for him in the future too, and his you know, his kids or whatever. So it's nice to have, and it's just part of the car community. Like I said, it's very hard to explain. I know some people in the car community. I've been doing this now, like I said, for like 22 years. You know, you're always going to have that guy, well, you know, you drive a domestic, your car is garbage. Or you drive a foreign Japanese car, your car is garbage. Those are hard-headed people. When you find people that are truly passionate about this, it doesn't matter what you drive. And, you know, going way back to the message board days, if you're that old to remember Honda Tech or dseries.org or the CRX community, you know, back in those days, and of course as guys get older, you know, you get into it maybe when you're 16, 17 or even younger. As you get older, you can say maybe they're a little less tolerant, or, you know, I just remember all these people or younger guys getting into it, not knowing anything, and that's where I inserted myself to help these people. You know, I had, I think at one point, 17,000 replies to people just helping them. And also, you know, I would see those comments where guys would ask about a certain rim, and then they would get, you know, literally flamed to death, getting made fun of, getting, you know, why can't you afford, if they were knockoff rims, why can't you afford the real deal? What you have to remember at the end of the day, and I'm going to wrap this up because I'm a little bit over 5 minutes. At the end of the day, we all share the same passion of doing this. And, you know, there's no need to hate. You know, hate is a very ugly thing. I still see it day in and day out. You know, some people are jumping off Facebook because they can't just, you know, it's getting disgusting or for whatever reason. But, dude, there's enough of everything in this world to go around. If you're hating on somebody because they have the same similar car and maybe they did something different, or maybe you're just jealous, there's enough success to go around, man. You know, you don't need that. And that's what I tell everybody. And I see it weekly here. We'll have people come in, and they'll literally apologize before even telling me about their setup or their goal. You know, hey, you know, I don't want to bug you, or, you know, my car's not the cleanest and the prettiest. You know, I'm sorry about that. But it's like, no, man, like, you got to get into this. And that's why in my other videos too, I encourage people to learn, you know, and that's what it's about. And we need more of that right now in this world with everything that's going on, with all the crazy stuff. I'll leave it at that. So I'm going to go back out now, and we're going to talk about the car and show you what we did to it. So we're back outside in the work area, and everything pretty much is wrapped up. The bumper still needs to go on solid. Right now, we're just making sure everything fits. Now, our main goal with these kits, too, is to make sure that these bumpers fit where you don't have to cut out the whole grill. And you can see that if the intercooler was painted black, you wouldn't even know this thing had a turbo underneath the hood. Now, this is the first time the guy is seeing it. And after I'm going on with this, we're going to talk about boost controllers, because I did want to talk about those in the other video, but it went a little bit long. And I didn't want to keep yapping. So here we go, guys. First time the customer's also seeing it as well in this fully finished state. The big surprise that he didn't know about was the valve cover. His old valve cover did not match the scheme at all. It stuck out like a sore thumb. This is actually my personal valve cover that I've had for some time, and I wanted to donate it to him. Not going to see it on his bill. He's not being charged for any of it. It's a nice gesture. You can say, you know, it's a late Christmas gift or whatever. It's just what we try to do here for our customers. You get a whole nice turbo setup, and then your valve cover just looks, yeah, you know, so just one of those things. Now, we try to do that. We try to help out customers one way or another. Let me prop this hood so I don't have to hold it on my head. So this is our budget-friendly turbo kit with our ram horn and our turbo. Everything you see here is made in-house. So the intercooler piping is also made here. It's got a slight little polish to it. Our kit comes with fuel injector clinic injectors, depending on your power. These have 1,000 cc's in them, and it's honestly going to be more than he needs for the power. And if you watch my little 7-minute video before this, then you understand why we're not shooting for a lot of power. It's still on a stock map sensor, so we're not gonna go over the limitations of a stock map sensor. What else can I say? Our intercooler piping kits are designed to use the least amount of couplers. So let's just say, if why? Well, what does that mean? Well, if you ever see like a knockoff kit or an eBay kit, even though I've been told eBay doesn't make parts, I get that, I understand that. But you'll see some of these turbo kits pieced together and they literally have like 30,000 couplers. It's because none of the piping wants to fit like it should. So you're trying to play Legos, and you don't have a welder or means to cut pipe, so you're trying to make it work. Well, when you use the least amount of couplers, and I've been doing this since day one of running my business, you eliminate any extra spots where you can have a boost leak, number one, and you also eliminate any couplers from popping off. You have 20 couplers, well, the percentage is going to go up of the likelihood of you popping one of those off. And I will say this, a lot of that cheaper piping doesn't have bead rolled ends where the coupler actually has stuff to grab onto, so it just slowly slips off. Now, with that being said, and I'll get a whole little, there you go, there's a nice little overhead picture of it. I want to talk, as I try to do in my videos, and educate you guys, and part 3 of this will be on the dyno, and we'll talk about tuning and stuff. I want to talk about the boost controllers. So you have two of the most, well, these are pretty much what you got. You got a manual boost controller, which you're going to see a lot of. These are fairly inexpensive. You can actually make them. If you go on Google and you type in, homemade boost controller, you could buy all the parts from Menards and Home Depot if you're trying to save that money. And you got the electronic boost controller. So we're going to make this simple because it is. Now, a manual boost controller, as you can see here with the wastegate, you have a vacuum hose that is going right there. Now, on the wastegate, you do have a top port right there. This one is not running anything to the top port because we're not running an electronic boost controller. And this vacuum hose, which we'll also see boost, is running directly to a vacuum/boost source because we're going off wastegate spring. Now, in video 1, which is linked down below, I explained how a wastegate works and how there's a valve inside. All this manual boost controller is doing is it's going to hook up in line right here, and it's going to trick the wastegate. It's going to make the wastegate think it's not seeing 10 psi, when in reality you're making more than 10 psi, let's just say 14 psi, and as you increase boost and turn this one way or another, one way increases, one way decreases it, well, then that's how you're going to be able to control your boost and make a little bit more power than what the wastegate spring is. Rule of thumb is you can usually double the wastegate spring pressure, but as you get closer to doubling it, let's say there's a 10 psi spring in there, so as you're getting closer to 20 psi, it's not going to want to hold boost. You're going to have something that I call boost flutter, where the valve inside the wastegate is slowly opening and then closing and opening and closing, and you can actually see that on a dyno chart. And I do explain this to customers when they come here and get tuned if I see stuff like that. When you do come here and get dyno tuned, you just don't get a dyno sheet and I just don't wave goodbye to you. I explain ways that you can help your setup make more power and be more efficient. So that's a manual boost controller. Now, an electronic boost controller, as opposed to how a manual boost controller is going to trick the wastegate, an electronic boost controller is going to hook to the bottom vacuum source and to the top. And you're going to have a valve in here that's opening super quickly. And this is going to be controlled in a program, and it's going to be controlled by duty cycle of how much you want this thing to open. And this doesn't trick the wastegate. This is actually going to hold the valve in the wastegate from opening. So you have better control with something like this. If you're running real big power, you can run 2 of these. But what this thing is going to really allow us to do is set up boost by gear. So with boost by gear, let's just say you're making let's just say 700 horsepower, and it's a street car. Well, you don't want all that power in first and second gear. First and second gear, if you have all that power, all you're going to do is spin the tires. And, you know, depending on who's watching the video, it might sound cool, but you're not actually putting that power down to the ground. And that's what this guy is going to come in and help you with. So first and second gear, let's just say minimal pressure. That's where this comes into play too. This can only go with the minimal pressure that the wastegate spring is set up for. So if it's set up for 10 psi, we're not going to be able to run 7 psi with this, or 8 psi. We're going to have to run 10 psi in first gear, 10 psi in second gear, or depending on how the car wants to grab traction. And then as you gradually are going quicker in third gear, your tires are already moving, so you can up the power. Now, that's where deciding what wastegate spring also comes into play. Ultimately, 10 psi on this thing, yeah, probably will want to slip in first gear. I'd like to run a little bit less, let's just say around 7. So in first gear, we got 7 psi, and then we slowly ramp it up to, you know, let's say 12, 14, 15. So your car grabs traction. It's that simple. It really is. I can overcomplicate things and confuse you guys, but why? I want you guys to learn. I like to make things as simple. I like to dumb stuff down, because what I realized over all these years, and what I still try to remember, is this stuff comes natural to us. But if you're not around this stuff every day, everything might be foreign. Everything might, you know, I didn't even know before this video what a wastegate did. Well, hopefully after you watch part 1, you know. You know, or I didn't know what an electronic boost controller did, or why you needed that over a manual boost controller. Well, hopefully this video helps you. That's the main goal when making these videos, guys. Now I'm going to flip the camera around really quick, and I'm going to wrap this video up. So, wrapping up this video, you know, things don't have to be overcomplicated. I really don't watch videos on YouTube. Sometimes my guys will send me some stuff to look at and say, hey, does this make sense? And what I've noticed is it seems like some people like to overcomplicate things to almost put like fear in people so they don't do it themselves. But if you watch my little 7-minute speech in here, then you know, like I said, man, there's enough success for everybody to go around. My goal is I want to educate you guys. Education is power, you know, and let's say you didn't fully understand this and you're a hands-on person. Well, when you start doing more of these, or, you know, you do yours and then a buddy's, you're going to start learning this stuff. And main goal is for you to look back in these videos and just have a light bulb go off at one point. And, you know, just, that makes sense now. I get what Bob was saying it this way, or whatever. So that's the name of the game here, guys. I appreciate everything you guys do, and the feedback that I get keeps me motivated. Keep it up. I'm going to keep these videos coming, and I'm going to wrap up because it is after hours. And yeah, I'm going to go enjoy some family time, hopefully. Take care, guys. Thank you.